The lawyer's voice was steady when he said it, professional, like he was reading a grocery list, instead of destroying someone's entire world. To my eldest son, Cameron Blake, I leave nothing. Cameron Blake sat in the leather chair and felt the room tilt. His younger brother, Derek, shifted uncomfortably beside him. Their mother, Vivian, gasped. But the lawyer, Mr. Patterson, kept reading. To my youngest son, Derek Blake, I leave my entire estate. The house, the business, the investments. All assets totaling approximately $47 million. On one condition, Derek's head snapped up. What condition? You must marry within 1 year of this reading. If you fail to do so, the entire estate goes to charity. You have 12 months. Starting today. The room went silent. Cameron stood up, slow, controlled, every muscle in his body screaming. That's it? 28 years. And I get nothing? Mr. Patterson looked at him with something like sympathy. Your father left a letter. For you specifically. I was instructed to give it to you privately. I don't want his letter. Cameron, Vivian started. No, he turned to his mother. To Derek. Congratulations, little brother. You win. He walked out. Cameron Blake had spent his entire life being the good son, the responsible one, the one who'd taken over the family business when his father got sick, the one who'd worked 80-hour weeks to keep Blake Industries afloat while Derek partied through college, the one who'd sacrificed relationships, sleep, health, everything to make their father proud. And for what? Nothing. He drove. Didn't know where. Didn't care. Just drove until he ended up at the one place that had ever felt like home. A bar on the south side. Small. Quiet. No one knew who he was here. No one cared. He'd been coming to this bar since college. It was the kind of place that didn't change. Same dark wood. Same vinyl booths. Same neon sign that flickered every few seconds. The bartender back then had been an old man named Frank, who never asked questions and poured heavy. Frank was gone now. Heart attack 2 years ago. But the bar was still here, under new management. Cameron ordered a whiskey. Drank it. Ordered another. Rough day? Cameron looked up. The woman sitting 2 seats down was watching him. Dark skin. Natural hair and locks pulled back. Eyes that saw too much. She was beautiful in a way that didn't apologize for itself. Late 20s, maybe 30. Wearing jeans and a simple black t-shirt that said, Owner, in small white letters. You could say that. Want to talk about it? Not particularly. She smiled. Good. I hate when strangers trauma dump on bartenders. You work here? Own it. Cameron blinked, looked around, really looked. The place was nicer than he'd thought. Clean, well-maintained, good music playing low. New booth cushions, fresh paint. How long? 3 years. Bought it from Frank's family after he died. Used money I saved working 2 jobs and living in a shoebox apartment with 3 roommates for 6 years. That's impressive. That's survival. She extended a hand. Simone Reed, Cameron Blake. They shook. Her grip was firm, confident, the kind of handshake that said she didn't need anyone's approval. So, Cameron Blake, what brings a man in a $2,000 suit to my bar at 3 in the afternoon on a Tuesday? He looked down at his suit, his father's funeral suit, the one he'd worn 2 weeks ago, the one he'd worn again today for the will reading. Family drama. The worst kind. You have family. Everyone has family. Doesn't mean they're good at it. Cameron laughed. It was the first time he'd laughed in weeks, maybe months. That's depressingly accurate. I specialize in depressingly accurate observations. It's why I own a bar. She poured herself a club soda, leaned against the counter. You want to know what I think? Do I have a choice? Not really. I think whatever happened today, it hurt. Bad. But you're here instead of home, which means you don't want to deal with it yet. So you're going to sit in my bar and drink expensive whiskey until you renumb enough to go back and face it. Cameron stared at her. You get that from my suit? I get that from 20 years of watching people run from their problems. Usually into bars. She pushed a menu across to him. But you should eat something. Drinking on an empty stomach just makes the hangover worse. I'm not planning to get drunk. Everyone says that. Then they order the fourth whiskey, and suddenly they're telling me about their childhood trauma. I don't have childhood trauma. Everyone has childhood trauma. Some people just hide it better. They talked for an hour. Then, too, Simone was easy to talk to. She didn't pry, didn't judge. Just listened and made observations that were sharp enough to hurt, but honest enough to appreciate. Cameron told her about the will. Not everything, but enough. About being the eldest son. About working his entire adult life for the family business. About his father leaving him nothing. Why do you think he did it? Simone asked. I don't know. Maybe he thought Derek needed it more. Or maybe he knew you didn't need it. Cameron looked at her. What's that supposed to mean? It means some parents give their kids everything because they don't believe they can make it on their own. And some parents give their kids nothing because they know they'll be fine without help. Maybe your father was the second kind. That's a generous interpretation. Maybe. Or maybe it's true and you're too angry to see it. When Cameron finally left, he felt lighter. Not fixed, but lighter. Like someone had opened a window in a room that had been closed for too long. He didn't know he'd be back the next day. Or that Simone would become the only thing keeping him sane over the next 6 months. Derek, meanwhile, was panicking. $47 million. Contingent on marriage. In 12 months. He sat in his new office at Blake Industries. The office that used to be Cameron's. The desk was the same. The view was the same. But everything felt wrong. He'd been with his girlfriend, Lauren, for 3 years. She was beautiful, smart, a corporate lawyer at one of the city's top firms. The kind of woman who looked perfect in photos, perfect on paper, perfect for the life Derek was supposed to want. But marriage? That was different. That was permanent. That was standing up in front of people and promising forever when Derek couldn't even promise next week. We need to talk, Derek said that night. They were at Lauren's apartment. Clean, modern, everything in its place. Just like Lauren. Lauren looked up from her laptop. She'd been working on a brief. She was always working on something. About what? About us. She closed the laptop. Gave him her full attention. Okay, my father left me his entire estate. I know. You told me. I'm so sorry about Cameron. That must be hard. It is. But there's a condition. What kind of condition? I have to be married within a year. Or I lose everything. Lauren's face went carefully blank. The lawyer face. The one that didn't give anything away. I see. I know this is fast. I know we haven't talked about marriage seriously. But I love you. And I think we could build something real together. Derek. She said his name like she was choosing her words very carefully. Are you asking me to marry you because you love me? Or because you need to get married in the next 12 months? Both. Can it be both? No, it can't. Why not? Because one of those reasons is about us. And one of those reasons is about you. And I need to know which one matters more. Derek felt something twist in his chest. That's not fair, isn't it? 3 years, Derek. 3 years and you've never once mentioned marriage. Never once said you were thinking about a future. And now, suddenly, because there's money on the line, you want to get married? That's not what this is. Then what is it? It's me realizing that I don't want to lose you. And if this inheritance forces me to stop being scared and actually commit, then maybe that's a good thing. Lauren stood up, paced. When she turned back, her eyes were wet. I do love you, Derek. I have for a long time. But I won't marry you like this. Not when there's a condition attached. Not when I'll always wonder if you would have asked without the money. Lauren, no. I need time. I need to think about whether I can build a marriage on a foundation this shaky. How much time? I don't know. She grabbed her keys. I'm going to stay with my sister for a few days. You can stay here if you want. Just lock up when you leave. She was gone before Derek could respond. He sat in her apartment, alone, surrounded by her things. And he realized he didn't know her favorite color. Didn't know what she dreamed about. Didn't know the last time he asked her how her day was and actually listened to the answer. 3 years. And he'd been sleepwalking through all of it. Cameron kept going back to Simone's bar. Not every day, but often enough that it became a pattern. Enough that Simone started saving his usual seat. Enough that they fell into a rhythm. He'd show up around 6, after work. She'd pour him a whiskey. They'd talk. About everything. About nothing. About the weight of expectations and the freedom of failing and the strange comfort of being seen by someone who didn't need anything from you. Tell me about your family, Cameron said one night. 2 months after the will reading, he'd had 3 whiskeys. Just enough to be brave. Not much to tell. Everyone has something to tell. Simone smiled. Sad. My mom raised me and my 2 sisters alone. Dad left when I was 6. Never looked back. We grew up poor. Really poor. The kind where you eat cereal for dinner and tell yourself it's a choice. I'm sorry. Don't be. It taught me something valuable. What's that? That you can't count on anyone to save you. You have to save yourself. Is that why you bought the bar? Part of it. The other part is that this place saved me when I was 22 and drowning. Frank hired me when no one else would. Taught me the business. Gave me a purpose. When he died, buying it felt like honoring him. Keeping something good alive. Cameron looked at her, at the strength in her eyes. The kind of strength that came from surviving things that should have broken you. You're remarkable. I'm practical. There's a difference. I don't think there is. They held eye contact. Too long. Long enough for something to shift, for the air to get heavier. Simone broke first. You should go home. Why? Because you're looking at me like I'm something I'm not. What do you think you're not? Available? For whatever this is turning into. What if I want it to turn into something? Then you're not ready. You're still angry. Still hurt. And I don't do rebound. That's not what this is. Isn't it? 6 months ago, your life fell apart. Now you're sitting in my bar every week looking at me like I'm the answer. But I'm not. I'm just someone who's been kind to you when you needed it. Cameron stood up. You're right. I'm sorry. Don't apologize. Just figure your life out before you drag someone else into it. He left. And didn't come back for 3 weeks. Derek and Lauren had gotten back together. It wasn't romantic. It was transactional. She'd thought about it. Weighed the options. Decided that love was enough even if the timing was suspicious. They got engaged. Big ring. Romantic proposal in front of her family. Everyone clapped. Everyone congratulated them. Derek smiled through all of it and felt nothing. The wedding planning started immediately. Lauren took charge. She was good at it. Organized. Efficient. She picked the venue, the caterer, the flowers, the music. Derek showed up when she told him to. Nodded when she asked his opinion. Paid for everything without complaint. It should have felt right. It was what he was supposed to want. But every night, he went to bed next to a woman he promised his life to and felt like he was drowning. That's when he started noticing Nia Matthews, 26, his executive assistant at Blake Industries. She'd worked there for 4 years. Started as an intern under Cameron. Worked her way up through talent and persistence. Cameron had trusted her, relied on her. When Derek took over, she'd been the only person at the company who didn't treat him like he was wearing his brother's 2 big shoes. You're doing great, she'd said one day. They were reviewing quarterly reports. 3 months into Derek's tenure. The numbers were good. Better than expected. Am I? Yes. You closed 3 major deals this quarter. expanded into 2 new markets, increased revenue by 18%. Cameron would have done better. Cameron had 10 years of experience. You have 10 months. Cut yourself some slack. Derek looked at her, really looked, at the way she believed in him, the way she saw potential where everyone else saw inadequacy. Thank you, he said. For what? For not treating me like I'm temporary. Nia smiled. You're not temporary. You're the CEO. Act like it. Something shifted that day. A connection that went beyond professional. An understanding that felt dangerous. Derek tried to ignore it. He was engaged. Getting married in 6 months. Building a life with Lauren. But every day at work, Nia was there. Smart. Supportive. Seeing him in ways Lauren never had. They started staying late. Working on projects. It was innocent. Just 2 people committed to the company's success. Until one night, it wasn't. They were celebrating closing Blake Industries' biggest deal in 5 years. A partnership worth $30 million. Derek had negotiated it personally. Had spent months cultivating the relationship. And it had paid off. We did it, Nia said. She was grinning. Radiant. We did. You did. You proved you belong here. I couldn't have done it without you. She hugged him. Professional. Congratulatory. The kind of hug colleagues exchange after a major win. Except Derek didn't let go, and neither did she. The hug lingered, became something else. Their faces were close. Too close. We shouldn't, Nia whispered. I know. But he kissed her anyway, and she kissed him back. What happened next was a choice. A bad one. The kind that changes everything. They stayed in that office, made decisions that couldn't be unmade, crossed lines that couldn't be uncrossed. Afterward, they sat on opposite sides of the room, not looking at each other. Reality settling in like cold water. I'm getting married in 6 months, Derek said. I know. This can't happen again. I know. I'm sorry. Nia looked at him, her expression unreadable. Are you? Or are you sorry you might get caught? That's not fair. None of this is fair, Derek. You're engaged. You proposed to her knowing you felt this way about me. You stood in front of her family and promised forever. And then you came back here and did this. So don't tell me what's fair. She stood, grabbed her bag. I'm taking tomorrow off. When I come back, we're going to pretend this never happened. Because I'm not going to be the person who destroys your marriage before it even starts. She left. Derek sat in his office until sunrise, trying to figure out what he'd just done, and why the only thing he felt was relief. The affair didn't end. It should have. They both knew it should have. But knowing something and doing something are different things. They were careful. Meeting outside the office. Different hotels. Different neighborhoods. Never the same place twice. Derek told himself it was temporary. That he'd ended after the wedding. That this was just cold feet. Pre-wedding panic. Something that would pass once he and Lauren were married and settled and building the life they'd planned. But 3 weeks before the wedding, Lauren found out. She didn't confront him. Didn't scream. Didn't throw things. She waited until they were having dinner. Expensive restaurant. Trying to have a moment before the wedding chaos consumed them. You're cheating on me, she said, calmly, between the appetizer and the main course. Derek's fork froze midway to his mouth. What? You're cheating on me. I don't know with who. But you are. Lauren, don't lie. Please. I've known for 2 weeks. I hired a private investigator. I have photos, dates, times. I know everything. Derek put down his fork. Felt his entire world collapsing. I'm sorry. Who is she? It doesn't matter. It does to me. Someone from work, Lauren laughed. No humor in it. Of course. The cliché. How long? It started 3 months ago. Before the wedding? Yes. Her face went pale. You proposed to me. Planned this entire wedding. Invited my family. Made promises. All while sleeping with someone else? I'm sorry. I didn't mean for it to happen. Nobody ever does. That's what makes it worse. You didn't choose me, Derek. You chose convenience. You chose the inheritance. And when you got bored or scared or whatever, you found someone else. That's not... Stop talking. She pulled out her phone, pulled up a document. I spoke to my lawyer this morning. I'm filing for divorce the day after the wedding. You'll fulfill the terms of the will. You'll get your $47 million. And then I'm taking half of it. Derek's stomach dropped. Lauren, you married me for money, so I'm going to make sure that's exactly what it costs you. She stood, dropped her napkin on the table. The wedding is still happening. My family has spent too much money, and I'm not giving them the satisfaction of knowing you cheated. So you're going to smile. You're going to say your vows. You're going to kiss me in front of everyone we know. And then, after the honeymoon that we're not going to take, I'm going to destroy you. She left. Derek sat alone at the table, surrounded by expensive wine and uneaten food, and the crushing realization that he destroyed everything for something he didn't even know how to name. The wedding was beautiful in the way that disasters sometimes are. Lauren wore white. Derek wore his best suit. They said the words, kissed when they were supposed to, smiled for photos. And the entire time, Derek felt like he was watching someone else's life. Cameron wasn't there. He'd been invited. Vivian had called, begged him to come. He's your brother, please. But Cameron couldn't do it. Couldn't watch Derek inherit their father's entire legacy and celebrate it with a wedding Cameron would never have been able to afford without years of saving. Instead, he went to Simone's bar. He'd started going back 2 months ago. After staying away for 3 weeks and realizing that avoiding her didn't make his feelings go away, it just made him miss her more. They talked about it, about the kiss that hadn't been a kiss, about the line between comfort and something else. I'm not running anymore, Cameron had said. From what? From my anger. From my family. From you. And what are you running toward? I don't know yet, but I'd like to find out, with you, if you're interested. Simone had looked at him, really looked, for a long time. Then she'd said, okay, but we're doing this slow. No rushing. No using each other to fix broken things. Deal. They'd been dating for 4 months when Derek's wedding happened. Cameron spent that day at Simone's bar, helping her with inventory. Talking, not talking, just being, you okay? She'd asked. Yeah, actually, I am. You're not thinking about the wedding? I'm thinking about how I'm exactly where I want to be. And Derek's exactly where he chose to be. And for the first time, I don't feel like I lost something. I feel like I dodged something. Simone kissed him. You're getting better at this. At what? At being happy. 2 months after the wedding, Derek's life fell apart publicly. Lauren filed for divorce. Cited infidelity. Named Nia Matthews as the other woman. The tabloids picked it up. Blake Eyre caught in affair scandal. Billionaire's son cheats 3 weeks before wedding. It was everywhere. Blake Industries stock dropped 4% in 2 days. Clients started asking questions. Board members called emergency meetings. And Derek? Derek sat in his office, watching his reputation burn, and felt oddly nothing. Nia had quit the day the news broke, sent an email. Didn't say goodbye, just gone. Derek tried to call her. 17 times. She never answered. On the 18th try, she texted back. Stop. I can't be your redemption. Figure your life out on your own. The divorce proceedings were brutal. Lauren's lawyers were ruthless. They went after everything. The house. The investments. The business. They painted Derek as a serial cheater who'd married for money, who'd used Lauren as a means to an end. And the worst part? It was all true. The settlement took 6 months. Lauren got the mansion, $20 million in cash, a percentage of future earnings from Blake Industries. Derek kept the business, the company car, the condo in the city, and the knowledge that everyone in his life now saw him as exactly what he was. A man who'd betrayed someone who loved him for money he didn't earn and validation he'd never received. Cameron heard about the settlement through Vivian. "He's destroyed," she'd said. "Derek is absolutely destroyed." "I'm sorry to hear that." "Are you?" "Because you sound relieved." "I'm not relieved. I'm just not surprised." Derek made choices. Now he's living with them. He's your brother. He stopped feeling like my brother a long time ago, but something was bothering Cameron. He couldn't explain it. Just a nagging feeling that there was more to the story, more than just an affair, more than just greed. So he did something he hadn't done in 2 years. He called Derek. They met at a coffee shop. Neutral territory. Both of them uncomfortable. Derek looked terrible. Thin. Exhausted. Defeated. "Thanks for meeting me," Cameron said. "Why did you want to?" "Honestly, I don't know. But I heard about the divorce. And I thought maybe we should talk. There's nothing to say, isn't there? Honestly, I don't know. But I heard about the divorce. And I thought maybe we should talk." Derek looked at him. "What do you want me to say? That I'm sorry? That I regret it?" "I do. All of it." "But sorry doesn't fix anything." "No, but it's a start." They sat in silence. Then Derek said something Cameron didn't expect. "I didn't want the inheritance." Cameron looked up. "What?" "I didn't want it. Any of it. The money. The business. The responsibility. I never asked for it. And when Dad gave it to me instead of you, I felt sick. Because I knew you deserved it. I knew you'd earned it. And I knew I was getting it because Dad thought I couldn't survive without it. Why didn't you say no?" "Because Mom begged me not to. Because the lawyers said if I refused, it would all go to charity and the family business would be sold off. Because everyone was telling me I had to take it, that it was what Dad wanted. And I was too weak to fight." Cameron absorbed this. "So you married Lauren to keep it." "I married Lauren because I thought if I could just check all the boxes, do all the things I was supposed to do, maybe I'd finally feel like I deserved something. But I didn't. I just felt trapped. And Nia? Nia was the first person in my entire life who saw me as something other than Cameron's little brother or Dad's heir or Mom's baby. She saw me as Derek. Just Derek. And I clung to that because I'd never felt that before." Derek laughed. Bitter. "I don't know. I don't think I know what love is. I thought I loved Lauren. But looking back, I think I just loved the idea of having someone who fit the image of what my life was supposed to look like. And Nia? I don't know if I loved her or if I loved the way she made me feel about myself." Cameron sat with that. "What are you going to do now?" "I don't know. I'm selling the business." "What?" "I can't run it. Not the way it deserves. Not the way you did. So I'm selling it. I've already started the process. Should be finalized in 3 months. For how much? 90 million. After taxes, I'll clear about 60. Cameron stared. The business he'd built. Worth 90 million. And Derek was selling it. "I'm giving you half," Derek said. Cameron's breath caught. "What?" 30 million. It's yours. You built that company. You should have had it from the beginning. This is me trying to make it right. Derek, I don't want your forgiveness. I don't want anything. I just want to stop carrying this. So please, take it." Cameron looked at his brother, at the broken man across from him, and he realized something. Taking that money wouldn't fix anything. It would just tie him back to a past he'd worked so hard to leave behind. "Keep it," Cameron said. "What?" "Keep the money. All of it. Cam, you earned it." "No, I earned my freedom from it. I built Blake Consulting from nothing. And it's worth something because I did it on my own. Taking your money now would feel like I'm still waiting for someone else to validate me. And I'm done with that." Derek stared. "I don't understand." "I know. But maybe someday you will." Cameron stood. Put money on the table for his coffee. "One more thing." "What?" "Get therapy. Figure out who you are when no one's telling you who to be, and stop trying to fix the past. Start building a future." He left. Derek sat alone in that coffee shop for 3 hours, with an inheritance he didn't want, a fortune he didn't deserve, and a brother who'd just given him the kindest rejection he'd ever received. 5 years later, Cameron married Simone. Small wedding, intimate, just the people who mattered. Blake Consulting had grown into a multi-million-dollar firm. Cameron had offices in 6 cities, a team of 40 consultants, a reputation as the go-to expert for family business succession planning. He'd done it all himself. No inheritance. No shortcuts. Just work. Simone still owned her bar, had opened 2 more locations, was building an empire of her own. They'd bought a house together, in a neighborhood they loved. Not the biggest house, not the fanciest, but theirs. Vivian was at the wedding, proud, whole. She'd reconciled with both her sons, had learned to love them for who they were instead of who she wanted them to be. And Derek? Derek had used his money to start a foundation, helping young people who'd been overlooked, who didn't have family wealth, who needed a chance. He'd found purpose in giving others what he'd always had but never earned. He came to the wedding, alone, awkward, but trying. When Cameron saw him, he felt something he hadn't felt in 7 years. Not anger, not resentment, just peace. "Thanks for coming," Cameron said. "Thanks for inviting me." They hugged, briefly, but sincerely. "You look happy," Derek said. "I am." "Good. You deserve it." "So do you." Derek smiled, sad. "I'm working on it." The wedding was beautiful, simple, honest. Everything Cameron and Simone had built together. And when Cameron stood at the altar, looking at the woman who'd seen him at his worst and chosen him anyway, he realized something. His father had left him nothing, and it had been the greatest gift of his life, because it forced him to become someone who didn't need saving, who didn't need validation, who didn't measure worth in dollars. And in the end, that was worth more than any inheritance. That was worth everything. 6 months passed. Cameron had been to Simone's bar every week. Sometimes twice a week. They'd become friends. Real friends. She knew about the will, about the betrayal, about how much it hurt to work your entire life for someone's approval and get nothing. "Your father was wrong," Simone said one night. They were alone. Closing time. "You know that, right?" "Doesn't matter." "It does. You spent 28 years being the son he wanted. That's not nothing. It is if he gave everything to Derek anyway. Maybe he gave everything to Derek because Derek needed it. You don't." Cameron looked at her. "What makes you say that?" "Because you're here, building something on your own, not waiting for someone to hand you a life. That's strength. That's worth more than $47 million. You're very wise for a bartender." "I'm very wise, period." She smiled. "And you're deflecting." "I'm tired." "Then go home. Sleep. Come back tomorrow and we'll continue avoiding your feelings." Cameron laughed. "You're impossible, I've been told." He stood to leave, hesitated. "Simone." "Yeah? Thank you. For this. For listening. For not judging. That's what friends do." Friends. The word sat strange between them. Because somewhere over the past 6 months, Cameron had started feeling things that weren't friendly. Things he'd been ignoring because Simone was Simone, and he was still bleeding from his father's rejection. But tonight, standing in her bar, watching her clean glasses with careful hands, he couldn't ignore it anymore. "I should go," he said. "Yeah, you should." But neither of them moved. "Cameron." He kissed her. It wasn't planned. Wasn't smooth. Just an impulse that felt like the only honest thing he'd done in months. Simone kissed him back for exactly 3 seconds. Then she pulled away. "We can't do this." "Why not?" "Because you're hurt. And I'm convenient. And I don't do rebound. That's not what this is, isn't it?" Cameron stepped back. I'm sorry. You're right. I shouldn't have. I didn't say I didn't want to. I said we can't. There's a difference. He looked at her. Really looked. What does that mean? It means come back when you're not running from your family. Come back when you're running toward me. Cameron left that night feeling more confused than ever. Derek, meanwhile, had gotten back together with Lauren. Proposed properly. Big ring. Romantic dinner. The works. She'd said yes. They'd set a date. 3 months away. Just under the wire for the inheritance. Everything should have been perfect. Except Derek couldn't stop thinking about someone else. Her name was Nia. She was his executive assistant at Blake Industries, the company Cameron had built and Derek had inherited. Nia was 26, brilliant, driven, and the only person at the company who didn't treat Derek like he was incompetent. "You're good at this," she'd said one day. They were reviewing quarterly reports. "Better than people give you credit for." "Thanks, I think. I'm serious. You see things Cameron missed. You're more creative, less rigid. Cameron built this company, and you're going to take it further." Derek looked at her, at the way she believed in him, the way no one else did, and he felt something shift. They started staying late, working on projects, talking, laughing. It was innocent. It was just work. Until it wasn't. It happened 3 weeks before the wedding. They were alone in the office, late. Everyone else had gone home. They were celebrating closing a deal Derek had personally negotiated. Their first major win since he'd taken over. "We did it," Nia said, smiling, radiant. "We did." She hugged him, professional, congratulatory. Except Derek didn't let go, and neither did she. They kissed, and this time, neither of them pulled away. What happened next was a mistake. Derek knew it was a mistake even as it was happening, but he didn't stop. Because for the first time since inheriting everything his father had built, he felt like himself. Not the son, not the heir, just Derek. Afterward, they sat in his office, clothes disheveled, reality crashing down. "I'm getting married in 3 weeks," Derek said. "I know. This can't happen again." "I know. I'm sorry." Nia looked at him. "Are you?" "What? Are you actually sorry? Or are you sorry you got caught?" "No one caught us. Yet." She left. Derek sat in his office until sunrise, trying to figure out what he'd just done. And why he wasn't sure he regretted it. The wedding was beautiful. Lauren wore white. Derek wore his best suit. Vivian cried. Cameron wasn't there. He'd been invited. He'd sent a gift. But he couldn't bring himself to watch his brother celebrate inheriting everything that should have been Cameron. Simone had told him he should go. "He's your brother. He's the reason I have nothing." "No, your father is the reason." Derek didn't write the will. He didn't refuse it either. "Would you have?" Cameron didn't answer. 2 months after the wedding, Derek's marriage was falling apart. Lauren had quit her job to focus on planning their life together. The house they'd buy, the kids they'd have, the future that looked perfect on paper. But Derek was distant, distracted, guilty, because he was still seeing Nia. Not every day, not even every week, but enough. Enough that he knew it was wrong. Enough that he couldn't stop. Enough that he was betraying everything he'd promised Lauren. "You're cheating on me." Lauren said it calmly. They were having dinner. Expensive restaurant, trying to reconnect. Derek's fork froze midway to his mouth. "What? You're cheating on me?" "I don't know with who, but you are." "Lauren, don't lie." "I've known for weeks. I was waiting to see." "But you didn't." Derek put down his fork. "I'm sorry. Who is she?" "It doesn't matter. It does to me." "Someone from work," Lauren laughed, bitter. "Of course. The cliché. How long?" "It started before the wedding." Her face went pale. "Before? I'm sorry. You married me knowing you were in love with someone else?" "I'm not in love with her." "Then why?" Derek didn't have an answer, not one that made sense. Not one that didn't make him sound like a coward who demarried for money and security instead of love. "I want a divorce," Lauren said. "Lauren, please. I want a divorce. And I want half of everything. The house, the money, all of it. The inheritance was contingent on marriage. You're married. You fulfilled the terms. Now I'm your wife. And I'm entitled to half." She stood up, left. Derek sat alone at the table, surrounded by expensive wine and uneaten food and the crushing realization that he destroyed everything for something he didn't even understand. Cameron heard about the affair 2 weeks later. Vivian called him, crying, "Your brother is getting divorced." That was fast. He cheated Cameron before the wedding. With someone from the company. Cameron felt something cold settle in his chest. Who? I don't know. He won't say, but Lauren is taking him to court. She wants half of everything. Good. Cameron. No, Mom. He married her for money. She deserves half. Maybe more. He's your brother. He stopped being my brother when Dad gave him everything and left me with nothing. He hung up. But something was bothering him. The affair. Someone from the company. Cameron still had friends at Blake Industries. People who'd worked with him for years. He made calls. Asked questions. 2 days later, he knew. Nia Matthews. Derek's assistant. 26. Single. Ambitious. Cameron sat with that information for exactly 24 hours. Then he did something he'd been avoiding for 8 months. He went to see Derek. They met at Derek's house. The mansion their father had built. The one Derek had inherited. In the heart of a city that pulsed with life, 2 brothers, Marcus and Ethan, stood at a crossroads. Their father, a man whose laughter was as loud as his love, had passed away, leaving behind a legacy not of gold and silver, but of choices. Marcus, the elder, was a man carved from the same stone as their father, practical, dependable, his dreams built on foundations of concrete and steel. He saw the world in blueprints and business plans. Ethan, however, was a poet, his spirit a canvas splashed with the vibrant, chaotic colors of his imagination. He found his rhythm in the city's hum, his verses in the whispers of the wind. Their father's will was simple, yet it cleaved a line between them. To Marcus, he left his successful construction company, a testament to a lifetime of hard work. To Ethan, he left a family home, a place filled with memories, sunlight, and the faint scent of his mother's baking, along with a modest sum of money. The will came with a letter, its words a final conversation. To my sons, it read, "I give you not what you want, but what you need. A foundation for one, and a sanctuary for the other. Build your own worlds." Marcus, ever the pragmatist, saw the inheritance as a clear directive. He poured his energy into the company, his days a blur of site visits and client meetings. He believed their father had seen his potential, entrusting him with the family's financial future. He loved his brother, but he worried. He saw Ethan's art as a hobby, a beautiful but unsustainable dream. "Ethan, be realistic," he'd say over their weekly dinners. "The world doesn't pay for poems. Dad gave me the business so I could take care of us. You should join me. There's a place for you here, a real job." Ethan would just smile, a gentle, knowing smile that sometimes frustrated Marcus. He understood his brother's concern, born from love and a desire to protect. But the thought of spreadsheets and profit margins felt like a cage for his soul. The house was his haven. In the quiet study, surrounded by his father's books, he wrote. He poured his grief, his hopes, and his love for his family onto the page. He used the money his father left him not on frivolous things, but on time. Time to write, to create, to find his voice. One evening, Marcus came to the house, his face etched with exhaustion. "We lost the bid for the new community center," he said, slumping onto the sofa. "A huge project. I don't know what I did wrong." The numbers were solid. Ethan listened, not with advice, but with presence. He made tea, the way their mother used to, and sat with his brother in the quiet companionship they had known since childhood. The next day, Ethan visited the site of the proposed community center. It wasn't just an empty lot to him. He saw the neighborhood, the kids playing street hockey, the elderly residents sitting on their porches. He saw the stories. That night, he didn't write a poem. He wrote a proposal. He described not just a building, but a hub of life. He wrote about a rooftop garden where neighbors could grow vegetables, a soundproof room for aspiring young musicians, a sunlit library for children to discover new worlds. He wove the community's soul into the architectural plans. He used his words to paint a picture of what the center could be, not just what it was made of. He hesitantly showed it to Marcus. "It's different," Marcus said, reading through the pages. He was skeptical at first, but as he read, he saw it. Ethan hadn't just added words. He had added vision. He had given the project a heart. This is what was missing," Marcus admitted, a look of revelation on his face. "I was so focused on the budget and materials, I forgot who we were building it for. They worked together, a fusion of their two worlds, Marcus's practical knowledge and Ethan's creative vision. They resubmitted the bid, this time not just with blueprints and cost analyses, but with Ethan's narrative. They didn't just propose a building. They told the story of the community's future. A few weeks later, the call came. They had won the contract. The committee said their proposal stood out because it had a soul. It was a victory that belonged to both of them. Standing on the empty lot, a contract in hand, Marcus turned to his brother. "Dad was right," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "He didn't give me the business to take care of you. He gave us each the tools we needed to build something together." Ethan looked at the city skyline, a canvas of endless possibilities. "He gave you a foundation," Ethan replied, "and he gave me a home. But he wanted us to build the world side by side." The construction company flourished, but it was different now. It became known for building not just structures, but communities. Marcus was still the expert in concrete and steel, but now he listened for the stories in every project. Ethan never joined the company full-time. He published his first book of poetry to critical acclaim, his words resonating with people who, like him, were searching for their own path. But he was always there, a creative consultant, a partner, a brother. Their father had given them two different paths, but he knew those paths were always meant to intersect. He had left them an inheritance not of division, but of partnership. Marcus built the structures that housed people's lives, and Ethan filled them with the stories that gave those lives meaning. Together, they honored their father's legacy, not by following in his footsteps, but by forging a new path, hand in hand, building a world that was stronger and more beautiful because it had room for both of them. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, please like, share, and subscribe for more content like this. We'll see you in the next one. The phrase "Dad would be proud" was voiced. Derek looked at him, surprised. "You think?" "Yeah, I do. Not of the affair or the mess, but of what you built after. Of how you turned the money into something meaningful instead of just sitting on it. I'm not sure he'd see it that way. Maybe not. But I do, and that's what matters now." Vivian came in from the kitchen, carrying a tray of tea. She moved slower now, but her smile was the same. "My boys," she said, sitting down between them. "Together. I never thought I'd see this day again." "We're working on it," Cameron said. "You're doing more than working. You're healing. Both of you." She looked at Derek. "You found your purpose. I'm trying. You're succeeding." She turned to Cameron. "And you? You happy?" "Ridiculously happy." "Good. That's all I ever wanted for both of you. Not money, not success, just happiness. Just peace." They sat together. Three people who'd been broken by an inheritance. Who'd spent years learning that love wasn't about money or validation. It was about choice, about showing up, about fighting for connection, even when it was hard. Cameron's phone buzzed. "Simone. Dinner in 20. Don't be late. He smiled. I have to go. Family dinner. Go, Vivian said. Kiss those babies for me. Cameron stood, hugged his mother, hesitated, then hugged Derek too. Same time next month? Derek asked. Same time next month. It wasn't perfect. They weren't completely healed. The scars were still there, but they were trying. And sometimes trying was enough. Cameron drove home. To Simone, to his children, to the life he'd built from nothing but determination and love. And he'd never felt richer in his entire life.